All right, guys, so I wanted to talk with you guys a little bit about this 2012 Nissan Armada that I bought. And I know some of you are probably thinking, well, that's not a prize. Exactly, it's not. It's a 12-year-old car now at this point. It's got 156,000 miles on it. But this fit my mission. So you're like, well, I don't understand the mission thing, but we'll talk about that. So this video here today, I just kind of want to go over, if you're looking for a used vehicle, I'm going to kind of review this one and why I went with this one and what I was looking for. But pretty much everything I'm going to talk about here kind of applies to any used vehicle you're looking at. Just some of the stuff is going to be kind of specific to this one and what I looked for and some things I overlooked. Let's get to it. All right, so I'm going to try to stay out of this video, but there I am. There's my reflection. You may hear some paper in the background crinkling because I've got some notes I'm kind of going by that I want to talk about. But the first thing I want to talk about is mileage. You know, we're always looking at these used cars and we're thinking about the mileage and things like that. Sometimes low mileage isn't good mileage, okay? And what that means is whenever I was shopping for this one, I had two that I went to look at that only had about 115 or 116,000 miles on them. And they were really good price, about the same as what I paid for this one. Now, the problem was when I got there, they were clearly either very, very hard miles or the miles were way more than what was being stated. The steering wheel, the top of the steering wheel was just completely wore down to the metal. The driver's seat and everything was torn up, and just you could tell it just had a lot more miles on it than what they said. Things like the shifter was filthy. The buttons down here and stuff for the AC controls were worn. The black paint was worn clean off of them. The paint on the door handles was worn off. There was just a lot more wear and tear in that vehicle than what they stated. And that immediately kind of threw some red flags. There was also body damage on them. I mean, clearly they were not, either they were very, very rough with their vehicles, whoever owned them before, or the mileage was way more than what they were saying. So the next thing I want to talk about is when you are buying a used vehicle like this, you can look for the top of the line trim. This is the Armada Platinum 4x4. So you can see it's full leather, it's heated seats. There's the Platinum right there in the thing there. It's got a DVD player, it's got a sunroof. Not that that really matters much, but I mean, this thing is really loaded out. It's got navigation, backup camera, Bose stereo in it. It has a sub under the seat that doesn't work. We'll talk a little bit about that later on. But because I was looking at an older vehicle, you know, they go down in value, so you can afford something with a little more luxury than what you would have gotten. Now you can see, I'm going to talk a little bit about my mission. My mission for this vehicle, it's my work vehicle. I drive to and from work every day, and I moonlight as a home inspector. So I needed to keep my ladders and my tools and things like that I use for doing home inspections. I used to keep them in the back of my little Tacoma, but man, the weather was just beating on my tools and things. So having them inside, constantly protected, helps me. I've got my boots down there, a little vacuum, another little tool bag, some things. But just being able to keep all my stuff secure, no matter where I'm at and out of the elements, really fit my mission. Plus, if I need to, all I got to do is take this ladder out, set it up here beside the shop or whatever, and now I've got 3-row SUV seating. Sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied. I've got 3-row seating for hauling all of my grandkids around. So understand your mission. You know, yeah, it's a big SUV, but my little Toyota Tacoma was only getting about 14, maybe 15 miles to the gallon. Guess what? This thing here is a 317 horsepower V6, V8, doggone it, V8, and it gets the same gas mileage, or maybe slightly better. So don't close off any doors before you evaluate fully things that may matter to you. I was only looking at the little 4Runners and whatnot because I thought, you know, that would fit my mission better, and I was familiar with the Toyota, but truthfully I really just wanted something different, and something a little more luxurious, and something a little nicer. So that was my mission with this. Something else to think about on that mission front is, do you have a backup vehicle? Is this going to be your primary source of transportation? If it is, then you need to be prepared for some things. And I'm just going to kind of walk around the car and kind of show it as I'm talking here a little bit, so that this video isn't too boring. But yeah, what is your backup plan when this breaks down? Because guess what? This car has 156,000 miles on it. It will break down. I do have another vehicle. I have a spare vehicle that I can drive should I need to. But this is going to be my primary daily driver at this point. So with these kind of miles, we need to plan on some things that we're going to have to deal with, such as suspension issues, shocks, brakes, ball joints, tie rod ends, control arm bushings, things like that. I mean, you have to be prepared that you're going to spend that kind of money, or some money, on some of those repairs. The problem is people often piecemeal it. They go in there, they replace a shock, they'll do one brake, not the other. They'll do one ball joint on the lower end, they won't do the upper one. And then later on, when things keep failing and their tires keep wearing out, they're wondering what's going on. You got to remember, when you buy a brand new car, every part is brand new on that suspension. Every part. And so when it lasts 100,000 miles from the factory, that's because everything is new and everything's wearing together. So if you're trying to just piecemeal and put one part on it at a time, as Johnny Cash used to say, got it one piece at a time, then you're going to struggle with your suspension all the time. My advice is to do like how I did it with that Toyota, and that's just about all the bushings, all the bearings, all of the parts, everything that wears on the front end, and do it all at once, okay? That way you're going to have a lot more reliability, and you're just kind of eating the bill at one time. I know that's a little more expensive way to do things, but that's how you should do it. Anyways, let's see, my next topic, automatic transmissions. Automatic transmissions have a limited lifespan. For certain, they have a limited lifespan. They are not going to last forever. Some transmissions barely make it to 80,000 miles. Some make it, generally, most will make it up around the 150,000 mile mark before they start giving problems. Some will go further than that, much further than that. Because here's the problem. A lot of people do not understand maintenance on a transmission, or it gets transferred from one owner to another, and nobody did the transmission maintenance. Nobody changed the filter, nobody changed the fluid, nobody did anything to service that transmission. And I'm just kind of showing you guys this vehicle here, 156,000 miles. Look how clean it is. Now it's had detailing, but I mean, even you look at everything, you look down in there, I mean, it's been well maintained, it's been well taken care of. If it wasn't well taken care of, it would look pretty crummy down in some of those cracks and crevices. For sure, the bottom side of that hood would not look that good. So this vehicle has been well taken care of. But you got to think about these automatic transmissions and the lifespan of them, you know. And to do a transmission rebuild, you're looking at sorry, I got interrupted there. My wife come home and I needed to talk with her for just a second. But we were talking about the transmissions. To get a transmission pulled and rebuilt at a shop, you're looking at anywhere to $2,000 to $3,000, maybe even $4,000 depending. This is a four-wheel drive model, so I'm sure it'll be pretty pricey to have it rebuilt when that time comes. But that's just something you got to understand. When you're buying a car with these kind of miles on it, you're going to have suspension issues. You're going to have eventually, soon, transmission concerns if it hasn't already been done before, which kind of leads me to the next talking point, is maintenance records. Trying to figure out if the car has any maintenance records at all that you can get your hands on. When was the last time the oil and filter was changed? When was the last time the transmission was serviced? Has it ever been serviced? How about the fluid in the transmission? I mean, the radiator. How about the brake fluid? Has the brake fluid ever been flushed? There's a lot more maintenance on cars that people just don't think about. And like I say, the transmission really is supposed to be every about 60 or 80,000 miles. You're supposed to change filter and fluid. And if that doesn't happen, and it goes 120,000 or 150,000 miles, then you could be hurting quick. One of the next things I want to talk a little bit about is engine reliability. Now, these 5.6 V8s in this Nissan Armada tend to last a pretty long time. They're known to be a pretty reliable engine. So that being said, though, water pumps, starters, belts and hoses, timing belts are changed, oil leaks, and the unknown past maintenance history are things that you have to give some consideration to. Belts and hoses don't last forever. Filters don't last forever. Brake fluid doesn't last forever. Coolant doesn't last forever. How about the power steering? How about the battery? You know, these batteries are getting up there $200+ every time you go buy a battery. You know, that type of stuff is expensive. Lights, fixing lights, replacing lights. Man, if I had to replace one of these lights, I think they're around $300 per housing. If you went back with something factory, if you went aftermarket, then who knows what kind of garbage you're going to get. But these 5.6s here and that automatic transmission in this Armada, this is a first-gen Armada, by the way, are pretty well known for their reliability. They're not the best on gas mileage, but they're pretty reliable and pretty solid, which is what I learned in research I was doing whenever I was considering buying this vehicle. But be prepared. Like I say, water pumps, starters, alternators, belts, hoses, none of that stuff lasts forever. Interior wear and tear. These seats, you can see they are not perfect. They're starting to show their signs of use and wear, but they're not torn. So I'm planning to clean and recondition this leather this coming weekend, hopefully. I'm also going to be cleaning up this steering wheel, making sure that it's nice in condition. But you see this dash is in good shape. None of the knobs or buttons or controls are damaged. I mean, everything is in really good shape. I'm going to close the door because I know it's going to ding. It might still ding because I have the other doors open, but you can see everything powers up. I'm going to crank it. Now it's giving me a warning light because I've got doors open, hoods open, stuff like that. So that's what that warning is. But when I first bought this vehicle, it had a traction control light on, and it was telling me that one of the tire pressure sensors was reading nothing, not zero, nothing, which told me it probably didn't have a tire pressure monitor on it at all. And it was this passenger side rear tire. Now, that's a brand new tire. The one that was on here when I bought it was used. That new tire cost me $280 plus mountain balance, plus the TPMS sensor. We're well over $300, okay? So look at these tires. You gotta know what kind of condition they're in. So when you're looking at a used vehicle, you wanna come run your hand over this tire, back and forward, side to side, and see if there's anything wearing unevenly, okay? And look at the tread depth. They usually have wear indicators that tell you when the tires need to be replaced. Look at all three, make sure they're all three wearing the same. You definitely don't want to have to, day one, go spend, you know, if these tires are about $300 a piece, you know, $1,200 on tires. That's an unplanned expense. So take a good look at your tires. While you're looking at the tires, I have a few other things to think about bringing with you. Thinking about bringing with you to do your inspection. Bring you a flashlight. Bring you some kind of a mat or something to lay down on the ground. It could be a mover's blanket. It could be anything like that. You want to get underneath there to look for body damage underneath. I bought a truck a while back. Did not get underneath it and look at it. It was dark when I bought the thing. I just test drove it and I thought the truck was fine. It was a truck I really wanted. But then I found that the thing had been wrecked on the driver's side and had all kind of body damage. And that's on me. That's on me because I didn't crawl under there and look at it. And I kind of let my heart get ahead of my head telling me what I should be doing. But look for body damage. Look for any rusted stuff. These vehicles that come down out of the north, this one did. It's got some rust on the control arms on the rear end back there in the back. These vehicles that come out of the north where they're salting the roads and stuff, they tend to get rusty. Look for rust or any kind of damage underneath. If there's anything hanging loose, hanging down underneath that vehicle, that's probably not good. Looking for oil leaks. Underneath that vehicle should be clean. This one here, eventually I'll probably get this up on the lift before I send this video out, and I'll show you how it looks underneath, and I'll show you the rusted components on the back suspension there. Have someone bounce the car so you can see the suspension moving. Is anything popping, creaking, doing anything that it shouldn't? It should be quiet and it should just be moving, and everything moving smoothly and nicely. If you have a code scanner, hook it up. Look if there are any codes. I think this truck had about 10 codes stored in it whenever I hooked up my code scanner to it. I think it had about 10 codes, so you know, definitely have your code scanner. Bring a mechanic friend or take it to one. Sometimes you can bring a vehicle, you can you know, bring one to a local mechanic and get a look, have them get a look at it up on a lift or whatever, or let you look at it up on a lift if you're mechanically inclined. If it's got a tow package, look at it. Is everything there? This one, that little bracket under there has had some damage to it, but it's all there, it's all intact. You want to check this mechanical stuff before you start trying to take it out for a test drive. Like I say, you're looking for uneven tire wear, you're looking for any leaks. Like this one, if we stand back, you can see that it's squatted a little bit in the back. Not only does it have some rusted suspension components, this thing has rear air shocks on the back and they aren't working right. The compressor will come on. I had to do some work to finally get it to come on, but it will not lift it up more than about an inch, and then the air compressor turns off and it immediately sinks right back down to where it's sitting now. So I'm probably fixing to do a conversion and get away from the suspension, the air suspension, and go with regular coil springs and shocks. Let's see. Tires wearing evenly, all lug nuts in place. Does it have a spare and a jack? I can't tell you how many times I've went out and bought a used vehicle only to find that I don't have a spare or a jack. Look for it, see if it's got it there. Does it have a second key? These cars that have these intelligent keys, that thing is expensive and it takes work to get them programmed. Make sure you've got a key, a spare key. If not, understand the cost of that and either try to negotiate, whatever, you know. You really want a second key if you can get your hands on it. Next, let's test all the interior features before driving. How do the mirrors and lights work? Test them. You know, sometimes I've found that these little knobs here and stuff that work these mirrors don't work. This one has fold-in mirrors. I made sure that they folded in. They did everything. When you turn on the blinkers, there's little arrows in the mirrors that come on. All that worked. I checked the windshield wipers, checked the lights, checked the turn signals, checked all that stuff. We've got on this, because it's an Armada Platinum, I'm sorry, Platinum, not Armada, the gas and brake pedal, you can move them by pushing this button. This little button right here operates these big windows here on the back right here. They flip open slightly. You can see that, oh, camera's falling on me. This thing moves out and it's electronic. Yeah, they're just a little vent feature. Took me, I had to go through the user's manual. By the way, does it come with the user's manual? Mine's in the glove box. But anyway, we've got a few more buttons down here. We've got the cargo, that's the vent mirrors, that's the electric foot pedals down there, and this is the parking sensor beeper. You know, it just beep, 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 beep as you start getting close to something. It has sensors on the front up here that lets you know when you're getting too close to something in the front, and it has sonar and sensors in the back. It does not have the 360 view. That wasn't something that was real dominant in the 2012 time period. It has tilt steering wheel. It has Bluetooth for your phone only, not your Spotify or anything on your phone. It will only do your calls, not any music. That's something that 2012 it just wasn't something they were doing yet. It's got regular cruise control. Turn your cruise on, set your speed. It's not adaptive. It will not slow down. It will not help you do lane keeping assistance. It won't do it. It doesn't even have smart rain sensing windshield wipers. They are just intermittent, but they are speed sensitive. It does have a sensor up there on the dash for the headlights, and you can put it on auto and they'll automatically come on and go off on their own. It does have navigation, but you can't update the map anymore. I think they quit providing map updates for this thing after 5 years, I think. Maybe less. But anyway, you can't update the navigation on this anymore. It is what it is, and it is antiquated. It's old. The voice command stuff, when you're trying to make a phone call without actually using your phone to do it, if you're trying to use this to do it, it's antiquated. You know, you got to say 10 things to finally get it to call something. Like on something newer though, you would just push the button and say call home and it would do it. Now you got to say phone book, you got to say phone, then phone book, then select the menu item, and then say dial, and that's just to get it to make a call. So just understand, you're not buying some of the newest technology. There are some older things about this. Music box. This thing has CD player. Okay, so you could take and put CDs in here and load them into the onboard memory. That's your music box. You can store a CD in here without having to change a CD every time. Preset disc aux, I'm not real sure what that is. I think that's like if you're using the auxiliary jack down there, maybe. Of course, AM FM satellite. This does not have the satellite subscription anymore. You've got your phone control button. You've got info for moving through some of the menus. You've got settings you can change, such as some lighting settings, volume settings, things like that. There's your navigation stuff, some presets for the radio. Speaking of the radio, this is a Bose system. It's a nice system. It does have, let me show you. It does have, maybe I should go forward, probably see it better that way. It does have a subwoofer built in under the seat here. See if you can see it here. It's a little dark, but maybe. Yeah, let's see if I can get a flashlight or something here. But it's got a subwoofer, a little small subwoofer under the seat. There's my flashlight down there. But mine's not working. There's a fuse you can check. My fuse is working just fine. But there's the subwoofer right down there. They say that the relay in the amps on these sometimes go bad, or the speaker just blows up itself. A lot of people just put in an aftermarket. Kind of show you all the back here. There is a cup holder down there. This center console comes out. I know I'm kind of jumping around a little bit, but there's our CD player controls and our climate oh boy, there goes my thing again there. And our climate controls. There's our DVD. Not a very big screen, but hey, it's entertainment. Plenty of room. This vehicle really has plenty of room, and you know, like I say, you can look at the seats and everything, and they're really in really good condition. So that's what you want to look for. You want to look at for a vehicle that's not beat to pieces. If it's got a lot of wear and tear on it, then your mileage may not be accurate, or it could be the wrong kind of mileage that you don't want. So this seat here, it's a little, it's not the smoothest moving thing, so I think I need to maybe grease the track, service it, something other. But the switch like this on the passenger seat doesn't raise or lower like it's supposed to. It doesn't come up and down. So I've got a little squawk there to fix. There were squawks with this thing that I had to do. Like I say, I had a passenger side rear tire I had to replace. The TPMS wasn't working over there. I had to put that new. I went ahead and had a four-wheel alignment, and then that's when they told me I had some suspension problems that I didn't see. And you can look at this back wheel and see how it's cambered in. I've got to replace all three control arms right here with both ball joints. Both ball joints. I'm gonna do the springs and shocks, and then hopefully I can get it aligned properly. That little repair with the three control arms, springs and shocks can cost, I think in the parts alone, I spent around $400. And that's really some cheap springs and shocks. They have some Bilstein shocks and ARB springs and stuff that you can put on them, and you can spend around $600 or $800 for shocks and springs. I'm going with a cheaper Suncor set. I'm gonna try them. If they don't work, if they're too bouncy, then I'm gonna put some helper airbags in the springs, because I do plan to tow. So let's talk about towing. My mission, this is a work vehicle for me. I also need to be able to tow my side-by-side around, or go pick up my son when he breaks down on the road. So I need to pull my low boy trailer and go get him. This vehicle will tow 9,000 pounds. I was looking at the 4Runners, the Xteras, the Pathfinders, smaller SUVs like that, and all of them were limited to about 5,000 pounds or thereabouts. My trailer is rated for 7,000. I've hauled 10,000 probably. Don't tell anybody that. Not really. But I've hauled at the limit of that trailer. So seeing me pulling a trailer with this thing, and I'm looking to get a little bigger trailer, seeing me being able to pull a full 7,000 pounds, Pathfinder couldn't do that. 4Runner, none of those other vehicles could do anything like that. So this one is that's another part of my mission. I wanted to be able to pull my trailer, and this one has a towing package, and get 9,000 pounds of towing. We have a power lift gate close. Another nice thing about this vehicle is also flex fuel compatible. So if I wanted to run E85 in it, I could. Not that I want to, but I could. Some other things about this vehicle. It does kind of bounce and move around a little bit, and that has to do with the rear air shocks not working correctly. So like I say, in the next 2 weekends or so, I'll be working on that rear end and doing all of that stuff. I'm going to be polishing out these headlights because they are a little bit yellowed and dim. I'm going to be doing, I don't know the mileage on the last oil change and stuff. It had a mileage reminder set for like every 5,000 miles, and it was maxed out to 18,000 miles. So I don't know when the last time this thing's had an oil change. Oil didn't look bad, so I know it's been changed, just nobody's cleared the reminder. So I'm gonna keep it on a 5,000 mile service interval, and I'm gonna go ahead and change my oil filter, air filter. I'm probably going to drain the coolant and put in the new Nissan Blue coolant. I'm going to put it on the rack here on the lift, and I'm going to drain the transmission, put in a new filter, put in new Nissan Matic S fluid. That's what they call for. I really want to make sure that this vehicle has the longest lifespan that I can possibly get out of it. So I do have some maintenance planned for it because some of those things are unknown to me. I don't know when the last time this transmission was serviced. When you take it out for your test drive, finally we're at the test drive point. When you take it out, you want to make sure this thing steers straight, it stops straight, it's not pulling, it's not darting around, it's not jumping around. All of those indicate wear and tear on your suspension, and that's money. That's money you're going to have to spend to fix it. Make sure your power seats and windows work, windshield wipers, windows roll down, all the windows, not just yours, all of them. Whatever power features it's got, power windows, whatever, check them all. Power locks, make sure everything works. Nothing more frustrating than to have your one door, you can't unlock it when it gets locked, and you have to go around with a key to manually unlock it because the power door lock doesn't work right. AC, heat, vents, seat belts, stereos, and backup cameras. Make sure all that stuff works. I already talked about the second key. Do not let a clean or nice interior sway your judgment. I kind of let this one sway in my judgment a little bit, and I let how clean it looked on the top side kind of get the better of me, and I did not look underneath it really good. I did look under it. I didn't see any rust on the frame or any of the front suspension or anything. On the back, I saw a little bit on the rear control arm here on this driver's side, but I didn't think that it was bad until a couple of days later after they tried to do the alignment, and I got around the front and looked at the front side of those control arms, and it's bad. I'm not going to lie to you. It kind of makes me a little worried to keep driving it right now. But even as clean as this vehicle was, I kind of let that sway my inspection process, and I didn't inspect it very well. Test drive with the radio off and AC on medium or off so you can listen for bumps, rattles, engine noise. Transmission should shift smoothly without shudders, vibration, or hanging shifts. Engine should be smooth and no lights on the dash when accelerating. How does it steer? Is it pulling? Does it pull when you press firmly on the brakes? Does cruise control work? When you hit bumps, does it dart around or bounce around? Some of these things I've already said. Understand the price range of other cars like this. Now me, I'm shopping. I'm looking at cars around the $6,000 range, okay? I'm gonna tell you that I bought this 2012 Nissan Armada Platinum 4x4 with 156,000 miles for $6,250. To me, that seems like a very good deal. Now knowing I've already done a $300 tire on the other side, I'm fixing to do $400 worth of suspension and stuff here. There's another $700. Am I still in an acceptable price range? The other three tires are great. You know, they're not all worn out or anything. Engine's running good. I'm gonna do my own preventive maintenance stuff. So I think for the price that I'm winding up with it, at around $7,000 after I do the few little repairs, I think I'm okay. I think for how clean this vehicle is and how nice it is and how good it drives and everything, I think that it's okay. I mean, I've walked around this car how many times? How many dents have you seen on it? I think the only real dent I know of is right here. You can kind of see it in the light and the glare. Yeah, it's got some little rock chips. Yeah, you know, it's got a few little rock chips. Things that I've already got some touch-up paint to try to clean that stuff up. On the hood, got a few little rock chips. You know, some of these are bug guts, but some of this is rock chips and things. I'm gonna kind of clean that stuff up. So overall, I think I'm coming out pretty good for $7,000. These vehicles dropped in value big time after they got 10 years old, you know, and it's still a very good running car, and that I think has plenty of life in it as long as I take care of it going forward here. Now, if I'm going to go take this thing off road and start beating on it on trails and mud and stuff, well, guess what? You know, all of that's out the door. This is my daily driver. I'm not trying to hot rod it. I'm not trying to race it. I'm not taking it off road. My racing stuff, that's what that Fiero for. That's what that Cobra kit car is for. My motorcycle's for tinkering around and going fast, which, by the way, the motorcycle's running great. There's something underneath that car cover over there. It belongs to my wife. These are our toys for beating on, not this. I'm not beating on this car. But anyways, understand the price range. Never hurts to ask for money off of the deal for items you find that need repair, especially when the dealer hasn't said it needs any repair. When they say, oh, it's good, it doesn't need anything, and then you find stuff like tires and suspension and stuff like that, yeah, start working on that price. It doesn't hurt. The worst they can do is say no. You're going to pay what you thought you were going to pay for it when you showed up, so the worst they can do is say no. But do that wheeling and dealing in place. Man, I see so many people on Facebook Marketplace trying to get me down on the price on a bottom dollar thing when they haven't even come looked at it. I'm like, no, I'm not talking about price with you until you come drive it and test drive it, and then we'll see. I think I like to price my vehicles very fairly. Sometimes I'm negotiable, sometimes I'm not. It just depends on what I got into them. Try to put some cash aside for maintenance if you don't know what maintenance has been done. Some people are meticulous about maintaining records. I like to keep my records. If you ever buy a used vehicle from me, hopefully you're going to see that I've done a good job of documenting my maintenance on them. Be prepared to change fluid, transmission fluid, coolant flush if that history isn't known. You're talking about $500 for those fluids. That's a very basic fluid service. You know, suspension components, that can get pricey. Transmissions, you know, $3,000, maybe more. Suspension, this thing's got CV axles in the front. You've got 4 shocks. I mean, there's so many things to look at when you're buying one of these, but you need to have knowledge of what you want the vehicle to be, what you expect out of it. This is what I was shopping for. This is what I expected to find whenever I got out into the market. The first 2 vehicles I looked at, I can't even tell you how bad they were and how beat up and how abused they were. And I'm very happy with this one. Very happy I found it. Like I say, the dealer did negotiate on the price with me. I feel like he was very fair. We reached an agreeable price, and I feel like by the time I make the repairs I'm going to make to it, I'm going to be into it for less than $7,500, even with all my fluids and repairs and everything that I'm doing myself. Now, of course, if you got to take it to a shop, you know, you got to tack money onto it for that. But don't buy a vehicle like, say, I wouldn't have bought this for $8,000 and then have to put another $1,500 or so into it then I would be upside down on the value of this vehicle. They're just not pulling down $10,000 price for this year model vehicle, you know, with that kind of miles. If it genuinely only had 100 or 115,000 miles, then I might could command a little better pricing, but still, you know, people are looking at it, man, that's a 12-year-old vehicle, so you can only go so high on the market value. Anyways, I'm about to wrap this video up. If you guys have any questions, any details you would like to see, I didn't really get into the details of this vehicle and the features and things, because there are other vehicles out, other videos out there that do that. They talk about some of the features and things of this vehicle. This one, I wanted it to be a little different, specific to this, and I'll probably put a part 2 once I can get it up here on the lift. It may be added to this one, I'm not sure, but it'll probably be a part 2, really, honestly, that I'm gonna get it up on the lift and show you some of the issues we found and show you the condition of this vehicle up in the air, just how clean it looked underneath, and some of the things I overlooked. So for now, this is what I'm calling my Armadillo. Some people call them Madas. I'm calling it an Armadillo. Anyways, you'll probably see more of this on the channel as we get to doing work on it.